St. Matthew's, which turned out to be a nice surprise for me. But mostly in Lino Lakes, they're about the business of receiving people who look like them. The children and the grandchildren of people who grew up in churches like this. I got to that church, it's called Living Waters in Lino Lakes. I got there and I was sort of asking, you know, what do I have to do? That's what I want to know. Well, they said, you know, there's Sundays, Pastor. Okay. I did that. And I asked about the Sunday school. What about Sunday school? They said, never mind, we're set on that. Well, there was about 100 kids. I said, well, have you got enough teachers? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have, not everybody is a teacher every year because we have people who want to do this. Really. I mean, they're receiving church from folks who are moving further and further out. White folks who are moving further and further out into the suburbs. There are pockets of the ELCA, like Living Waters in Lino Lakes, who are receiving. You know, during the 8 months that I was there, we had new member Sundays. I think 3 times. I don't know why. The congregation had no outreach program. They had no evangelism committee. But people just came. Well, because they were coming from, you know, Roseville. The people in Roseville came from here. They were coming from Roseville out to there. They're a receiving church. So there are pockets in the ELCA that are still a receiving church. But I would say that those pockets are not the norm. They feel like the norm when you're there. It feels good when you're there. They have a full church of people who look and talk and act and sound like you. It feels good. But I don't think that they're the norm, and they're certainly not the future. They're not the future of our church. To tell you the truth, I think the future looks something like St. Matthew's. The future looks something like St. Matthew's, a congregation who not only is a part of the ELCA during these lean years, but really feels it. Really feels what it's like to be a part of the ELCA during these lean years. The advantage of that, the advantage to being in a place where you feel it, is that, as my dad used to say, necessity is the mother of invention. You're open to things. You're open to trying things. You're open to crossing lines that maybe we wouldn't have been open to 40 years ago or 50 years ago. We're open to ideas. That's true at St. Matthew's. We have begun a new ministry alongside St. Matthew's called Spirit of Truth. It's for people who actually do live here. Not in Lino Lakes, but here in the cities. But who have not found their way into the church because they're not a part of that group that either got off the boat or were the children or grandchildren who got off the boat. Or maybe they are the grandchildren of those who got off the boat, but Grandma and Grandpa's church doesn't look like what they need anymore. So if necessity is the mother of invention, when you're in a place that begins to feel the necessity, you're willing to kind of step out. Willing to try to take a risk. Willing to create something new, and so that's what we've done with this ministry called Spirit of Truth. There's a visioning meeting for this group. There's about 10 people who will come tonight for that, and you should keep us in your prayers as we look to shape a word of gospel, a word of hope, a word of liberation and freedom around folks who don't find their way normally into the church. I think that the event that we're doing in the Isaiah organization this weekend is another example of this. The Isaiah congregations, many of them are like St. Matthew's, also know that the future is going to have to look different. The future is going to have to look different, and it's going to require us to have conversations we didn't think we could have, or we don't even really know how to have. What would it look like for the church to not look all the same? Maybe not even sing all the same. Maybe not even pray all the same. What would it look like for the church to not just receive, but to begin to address the fundamental cracks and fissures in our world, like race and racism. The churches who are willing to engage in that process are churches, I think, who understand the future is going to look different. It must look different. It must. There will be churches who will take the talents that they're given, the resources that they've been handed, the wealth that they have inherited, and they will stick it under the pillow and hide it like the one servant in the parable that Jesus told. There will be churches who look at the future and realize that it is so unknown and so scary and so like everything that we've ever done before that they will take the talents that they have, the wealth that they've inherited, and they will hide it. But there will be others. I want us to be one of the others. There will be others who will see that the future is dim. We don't know what it looks like. But we'll know that it's God who calls us. Who know that it's God who beckons us. Who know that it's God who understands us. And who will risk. Who will risk something new. Who will risk going in a new direction. There are people who look at churches like the Lutheran churches in St. Paul, like St. Matthew's, and what they see is the past. And they'll tell you that the future of the Lutheran Church is only in places like Lino Lakes. I disagree. I disagree. I think that all of us, here, in Roseville, in Lino Lakes, are struggling to get out of our cocoon of the past. We're just a little further along. We're just a little further down the road. And we're open to who God is calling us to be. Thank God we have something to go on. We can be grateful for those who have gone before us, for those who practiced good stewardship before any of us were born, and left us a legacy, a place to be, a place to rest, so that when Sam, that was perfect. I would have taken you just 2 seconds later, but that's close. So that when Sam is an old man, the Church of Christ is vibrant, but it's new. It's alive, but we wouldn't recognize it. Amen.